Hello everyone. Today I want to talk to you about illness. I want to talk to you first about illness from an energetic perspective. From an energetic perspective, healing is a toxicity crisis. It occurs when people have been focusing negatively for a certain amount of time, and that causes the flow, the natural energetic flow through your physical body to get pinched off. So the prevented flow of that energy moving through your body causes a buildup of a low vibrational energy. The buildup of that largely low vibrational energy causes a cascade of physical events to occur, such as the shrinking of the thymus gland, which then leads to the weakening of the immune system. All of this cascade of events in the physical body leads to the body being unable to rid itself of the toxins which it normally eliminates on a day-to-day basis. And that buildup of toxins starts to cause the cells in your body to decompose. It literally causes the cells of your body to weaken and to begin to die. This environment becomes the perfect environment for bacteria and viruses to thrive. They are opportunists, and thus infection occurs. Once the body's tolerance for toxicity is reached, you start to see this peak in symptoms. That's when you start to see the fevers and the sneezing and the mucus buildup, all of the symptoms which we associate with illness. These symptoms are a result of the body stimulating itself, and especially its organs of elimination, to rid the body of toxins in an immediate way. The body uses every single ounce of its energy to rid the body of these toxins and to reach homeostasis again. So it's a toxicity crisis which leads to a healing crisis within the body that we are calling illness. Unless you eliminate the factor which leads up to this toxicity crisis in the first place, then the toxicity will occur again. You will get sick again. As you can see by what I previously said, bacteria and viruses are not the cause of the illnesses that we suffer. They are found in the systems of people who are sick because they need dying tissue to survive. When they find an organism who presents the perfect environment for them to thrive in, they colonize. This is why not everyone who is exposed to a bacteria or virus actually gets sick. Only the people who are unwell already due to previously occurring factors will be colonized by a bacteria or a virus. Here's an interesting thing. Bacteria and viruses may actually aid us in achieving health because often the point at which the body is triggered to create homeostasis, to come back into balance, is when it is colonized by a bacteria or virus. They often act as stimulators, so our own misaligned body systems can come back into alignment. Saying that bacteria and viruses cause disease is like saying that flies cause garbage. They are invited and lured naturally by the host's weakened condition and by the fact that waste material is building up in the body because the flow of energy throughout the body is being impeded. There is nothing for them to live on in a healthy environment. The germ theory of disease, which by the way is the theory which the entire modern medical system is based, was first introduced by a French chemist, Louis Pasteur, in the 19th century. Before his death, Pasteur himself admitted that his own theory was wrong, and that germs cannot cause infection without an underlying reason that was already present. In other words, he discovered that it is the cell environment, or milieu, that determines what type of germs and how many of them attach themselves to the cells of organic matter. But it was too late. The entire world had already accepted and latched on wholeheartedly to the germ theory of disease. Microbes only get out of control when the level of toxicity in the body is extremely high. For example, during the Middle Ages, when the plague took place. In the Middle Ages, the quality of living for many people was terrible. Many were malnourished, immune deficient, and suffering extreme emotional duress. This is on top of the hygiene issues of that day. The result of this mass negativity and physical weakening within society was a collection of individuals who provided the perfect environment for fleas, and then subsequently for the bacteria that these fleas carried. The bacteria that these fleas carried was called Yersinia pestis, which is the bacteria which has been blamed for the bubonic plague. It is not the viruses and bacteria which is causing the illnesses which you are suffering. These bacteria and viruses are simply finding the perfect environment to breed, an environment which is created by negative thoughts, negative words, negative actions. the kinds of thoughts and words and actions which prevent the flow of energy through your body. And when the energy is prevented from flowing through your body, the cells of your body cannot thrive. They start to die, and that is the perfect home for a bacteria or a virus. That is why these bacteria and viruses are found present in the bodies of people who have disease and illness. It is not because they themselves created it. Now I want to talk a bit about what to do when you have manifested an illness. Your job is to enable your body to come into alignment again. That is your only job, to enable and to do anything that will help your body do that job which it knows best how to do. Your body is designed perfectly to keep you in alignment. It's designed for health, not for illness, and it is always on your side. So what you need to be thinking about when you get sick is, how can I enable my body to do exactly what it is designed to do? You need to be honest with yourself about whether what you are thinking or saying or doing is going to enable your body to line up with healing, or if it's going to prevent it from lining up with healing. And symptom suppression is not the same thing as healing. Oftentimes what we do to suppress symptoms does not help healing, it prevents healing. Because many of these symptoms which you associate, these uncomfortable symptoms that you associate with illness, are the very thing which is triggering your body to come into a state of alignment. It is the fever which is triggering the body to find homeostasis again. It is the cough which is expelling many of the things in your body that by suppressing it you would be keeping in your body. So this is an individual decision that you have to make and be very honest about. Does it feel like the thing which I am doing right now is actually enabling my body to heal, or is it preventing it and disabling it from moving into alignment with healing? Release your resistance to being sick in any way that you can. Start thinking about why you should be sick instead of why you shouldn't be sick. Any kind of resistance is going to disable you from finding alignment with healing. Illnesses and wounds give rise to levels of pain according to the belief about them. For example, an illness or wound that is seen as bad is going to produce much more pain than one that is seen as good. In World War II, many doctors reported that the wounded soldiers did not require pain medication because they felt that their wounds would get them to safety in a hospital back home near their own family in their own country. Their wounds were seen as a blessing, and so they did not cause these men the tremendous amount of pain and trauma that the exact same wound caused men who met with accident in civilian life, who spent their time focusing on the fact that injury meant loss of mobility and health and loss of financial resources. It is our interpretation of a given situation that determines the effect that it will have not only on our experience but on our entire lives. This is why it is so important to reframe the way that you think about illness. In order to heal an illness, you must accept it. Acceptance means find approval for it. This is not the same thing as resigning to it with an attitude of depressed, passive, victim-like mentality. It is taking responsibility for your life. Acceptance that you are where you are will help you move forward instead of focusing on thinking that you shouldn't be sick, which is resisting being sick, which only fuels being sick. Rejecting an illness is highly stressful to the body. Whereas when you're accepting an illness, you're allowing that flow of energy to move through your body, and you're moving just that much closer towards understanding the true reason behind why you have fallen sick. Instead of seeing it as a negative event that you should fight against or feel shame for having manifested, see it as an opportunity to become stronger in your areas of weakness and to live a happier life that is even more enjoyable and in alignment than before. Illness brings great opportunities with it, ones that we miss if we spend our time hating the illness itself. Work with the illness, not against it. Think of illness as your body's way of getting your attention. Illness is the body's attempt to redirect your life in a more fulfilling direction than the one you have been going in. There is no reason to fear it. You need not be upset about it. You are not a victim. Your body is 100% on your side. It is never against you. It is not an enemy. When we choose to view it as an enemy, we are killing it. We are killing our own body with our mind. I want to dispel at this point with the myth of the autoimmune disorder. Many in the medical community will tell you that an autoimmune disorder is the body attacking itself. When toxins settle in the body attacks those toxins. It may appear as if the body is attacking itself, but it is not in fact doing this. The body is not suicidal unless you yourself are suicidal, either subconsciously or consciously. The extreme inflammation, which is seen as a byproduct of autoimmune disorder, is a survival response. It is not the body attacking itself. I want to give you a really good tool that you can use when you're sick in order to improve your attitude about being sick. You start off by expressing the problem. I am sick, like I am sick with flu. And then you want to put down how that's making you feel. It makes me feel like the world is against me. It makes me feel like my life is over. It makes me feel like I'm always going to be sick. Maybe it makes you feel really depressed, and you can list the physical symptoms that you're feeling. And then I want you to write down anything that makes you feel better relative to the sickness itself. For example, a virus is just a manifestation of a vibration of collective negativity. If source instantly becomes what I want, it can only ever be benevolent. So if it's truly benevolent, I can trust that my essential self and my body only have my best interest at heart. I can let go and just let it take over and clear itself of the illness. When I am throwing up, I am ridding myself of anything that doesn't serve me well, my old patterns as well as the sickness itself. It is a good thing to get it out of me. It is only in my thriving that I can do anything for anyone. I do not need to resist the virus. My body will do exactly what it is designed to do. The human body is a marvel of technology. It's a machine of flesh and blood governed by the mind. Now is the time for me to be in a relationship with my body and to treat it kindly for what it is. What could I eat right now that would allow me to be and feel cherished? What would expressing my love to my body feel like and look like? This is a great excuse for me to be lazy and to watch movies. I really like the fact that I'm actually taking care of myself, and this is making me aware of a lot of the things that I was potentially doing wrong before this, the things that were leading me up to being ill. What makes you feel good? What thoughts make you feel good relative to this circumstance of being ill is going to be different for every single one of us, but it's very important that you consciously look for those thoughts which cause you to come more into alignment relative to the disease than ones that make you feel worse relative to the disease. You want to write down any thought that makes you feel good about where you are. Sickness is a healing crisis. It's a time for you to really look at what might have caused that crisis to occur and to eliminate or reduce those factors. I want to begin by giving you an example of how I became a match to a chest cold last week. The first condition going into this was stress. Stress is the number one causer of illness. You could think of stress as any negative thought which gives rise to the brain releasing stress chemicals throughout the body. Stress is your indication that you've really pinched off yourself from the flow of source energy through your body. I have been focusing over the last month very negatively towards my career. I've been focusing on how overwhelmed it made me feel. I've been focusing on how much time I don't have to spend with my family when I'm doing my work, and how much time my family takes away from time I could be spending on my work. I've been focusing on how I've piled my plate way too full, which is something I'm very known for doing. Now, you add that on top of the fact that I hosted my entire family for Christmas, and the internal personal struggles that were going on during that time interpersonally, with the fact that I was still maintaining negative focus relative to the job. And you've got this total recipe for disaster vibrationally. So much so that 2 weeks ago, I actually stopped myself, sat down on my bed and said, "Oh my gosh, Teal, if you keep going at this pace, you are going to get sick." But that awareness that I had, which is pre-manifestational awareness, wasn't enough for me to not get distracted by yet another thing that I had to do and another thing that I had to do. Now, saying that you have to do something is really a matter of perspective. And at that time, my priorities were less on finding alignment and more on what I felt like I had to do. So, ergo, I walk into a hospital, the place where sick people go to congregate, and I come out being a perfect match to a cold virus. So you can see how in that specific condition, I have told you what the precursor for the illness was. It's me doing and perpetuating thoughts which are incredibly stressful in nature. So for me to heal from the illness, which I caught last week, I had to find a way to eliminate that stress. I had to start taking things off of my plate and quit perpetuating the myth in my own life that I have to do things. Once you begin to listen to your body's subtle messages, you will find that its behavior, activities, natural urges, and cycles, as well as its symptoms of disease, are far from coincidental. Illness does not come out of the blue. We often lie to ourselves and think that it comes out of the blue because we can't identify many of the conditions which lead up to that illness. We have become so incredibly normalized to the feeling of stress, to the feeling of resistance within our own bodies, that we don't even recognize it as the precursor when it is. It is always a good idea to ask your body in meditation what it needs you to know, what the purpose of this illness is. For the sickness to improve, the cause of the illness must cease to be present in your life. Another good idea is to employ healing visualizations. If you want, you can go look up guided visualizations. They work very, very well. Anytime you're taking time to consciously focus on what you want to have happening through the body, you're informing your genetics, you're informing the cells within your body to do exactly what your mind is telling your body to do. So you can visualize releasing toxins, you can visualize pulling in energy and finding some kind of health and balance there. There's really no right or wrong way to do a healing visualization. So look around and try experimenting with new ones, and you'll find the ones that really work for you. But you want to take some time to do those during the day. Never discount the power of the mind when it comes to healing. We have major trouble on our hands when we doubt our body's ability to make the right choices for us personally. Healing requires two things. First, it requires that we are able to trust ourselves and our bodies. Second, it requires that we feel as if we deserve to be healthy. The next point I mentioned before, but I want to bring it up again relative to you and your life. It is to be really honest about what we're telling ourselves that we have to do. A lot of the times when we get really sick, or when we get sicker, it's because we've convinced ourselves that we have to do something that we don't in fact have to do. It is a choice that we're making. So a lot of people will say, well, I can't rest, I have to go to work. The interesting thing is, if they got sick enough and they couldn't go to work, then they would give themselves permission to skip work. So healing is really about giving yourself permission to find alignment before you physically can't do the things that you're telling yourself that you have to do. That is profoundly unloving, and it is not in line with health when you're saying, I have to do this thing, and the only time at which I'm going to give myself permission not to do it is if I physically can't. You don't want to let your body get to the point where it is at that stage of a healing crisis, because it's much harder to come into alignment if you're that far out of alignment in the first place. Give yourself permission to heal. Give yourself permission to create the conditions in your life that will enable you to stay in alignment with health and with happiness. If you do not, I can promise you, you will line up with a toxicity crisis. You will get sick, and your body will have to create a healing crisis for itself to come into alignment. Here are some ways that you can enable your body to come into alignment with health when you are sick. The first is focus positively on anything, most especially the illness, when you are sick. Any positive focus will cause you to come into alignment. It will enable the energy to flow through your body. And if you're able to focus positive towards the illness itself, the illness, the negative byproduct of the illness, can no longer be a match to you. You will find instant improvement. If you're not at the point where you can focus positively, which as we know, when you're in extreme levels of pain, it is very hard to focus positively. So when you're not at that point, your best ally is going to be distraction. Distraction is your first line of defense if you've manifested a serious illness or some kind of sickness which has very overwhelming symptoms. So by distraction, I mean you want to divert your attention from anything that causes you to feel negative emotion. The more you focus on the pain you feel in your body, or the more you focus on the symptoms that you have, the stronger they will get. So if you're distracting yourself by watching a movie, or distracting yourself by taking a bath, or distracting yourself by listening to music or reading a book, that's all fine, as long as your attention is placed on something other than the pain and the negative things which you are feeling. You will find a point after you have distracted yourself enough when it no longer feels upstream to focus positively. Instead, you will feel ready to start proactively focusing positively to work yourself back into alignment, instead of just using distraction and thus letting go and allowing your body to come into alignment. Another good tip is to play a little game that I call the "what would make me even more comfortable" game. You start this game by getting totally comfortable. And then you want to ask yourself, how could I be even more comfortable? And maybe the message you get will be, take a bath. Maybe the message will be, I want a cold washcloth. Maybe the message is, I want a glass of water. Maybe it's put on a funny movie. Whatever message you get as to what would make you even more comfortable, you want to act on it. We are not taught to think this way. But thinking this way is what's going to enable you to allow your own healing. You want to make sure that you continue asking yourself this question throughout the day at intervals. The more comfortable you can make yourself, the more you are allowing that energy to flow through your body, and the more you are allowing your body to do what it needs to do, instead of making it more difficult for your body to do what it needs to do by maintaining a level of discomfort. The next, we've heard it over and over again, and it is still as true as it was the first time your grandmother or mother told you. You need lots and lots of rest. Your body is donating every single ounce of energy that it has towards ridding itself of these toxins. It needs to have that energy in order to rid itself of these toxins. So you want to avoid anything that stimulates you. You don't want to listen to music that stimulates. You don't want to eat foods that stimulate. You don't want to watch visual images that stimulate you. You want to create an attitude of relaxation so that your body can completely prioritize healing and nothing else. This next point you have also heard about a million times, and it is as true as it ever was. You need to hydrate the hell out of yourself. When your body is ridding itself of toxins, fluids are what helps it to do that, most specifically water. Water helps your body to rid itself of toxins, and sickness is a toxicity crisis. So the more that you're able to drink, the more that your body will flush those toxins through your kidneys and your organs of elimination. You want to drink plain, pure water. Spring water, filtered or artesian well water is best. If you can, try to avoid tap water, because many of the chemicals contained within tap water are not a benefit when it comes to healing. You can make crystal water by putting crystals in your water and letting them sit for at least 10 minutes. It is no joke. When it comes to illness, there is nothing you can do that's better for your body than drinking pure water. Avoid soda like the plague. If you're going to drink juices, they must be fresh squeezed, and don't drink a lot of them. If you're going to drink tea, choose green tea or herbal teas that support the immune system. You want to eat an easy-to-digest diet, which is full of foods that are full of nutrients. Soups are the staple for illness for a reason, especially soups that are loaded with vegetables and kale. The less energy your body has to put toward digesting things, the more it can donate to healing. Juicing is amazing if you can get access to a juicer. You want to juice vegetables and fruit at least twice a day while you're sick. Many wise people choose to do only this when they are sick. When you are only juicing when you're sick, this enables the body to get a hit of nutrients that it needs in order to rebuild itself, but it provides it in an easy-to-assimilate way where there is very little digestion required. Do not eat sugar. Do not eat caffeine. Do not eat white flour. Those are all poisons when it comes to healing. Do not eat any dairy products. Don't eat fried foods, and do not eat meat. Those are the primary things you want to really avoid when it comes to being sick. You want to eat an alkaline diet. The more acidic your diet is, the more acidic the things you're eating are, and the more acidic your body is, the more of an environment it is that is hospitable to viruses and bacteria. We do not live healthy lives when our body is in an acidic state. So you can do research online about what foods are alkaline and what foods are largely acidic, and you want to eat alkaline foods when you're sick. You want to eat alkaline foods most of the time, if not all the time. But when you're sick, it's especially important to eat an alkaline diet. The bulk of your diet when you are sick, really all the time, but especially when you're sick, should be vegetables and fruits. The next thing I want you to do is sit in sunlight. Sunlight is essential for biological function. Sunlight fuels the immune system. Sunlight fuels the thyroid gland. UV light is actually a natural germicide. It is not sunlight that causes disease. It is the lack of it that causes disease. Vitamin D, which is one of the most important corticosteroids when it comes to healing, is not absorbed synthetically. It is produced by the body in response to sunlight. Much of the fear you've been fed with regards to sunlight is propagated by those that stand to financially profit by this fear, and it stands on very shaky scientific research. This subject, like so many, is worthy of its own episode, I think, so maybe I'll do that soon. But for the sake of this episode, sit in the sun with no sunscreen on, no sunglasses on, and as little of clothes on as possible. I'm not saying bake yourself in sunshine. In order to maximize sunlight exposure without getting burnt, don't go outside from 10 o'clock a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. But any other time of the day, go outside and bathe in the sun for at least 10 minutes up to a maximum of 20 minutes. The next thing you can do is to gargle and swish with salt water throughout the day. You want to use 1 teaspoon of salt, pure sea salt, per 8 ounces of water. This simple remedy proves over and over again to be one of the very best. Another thing you want to try is to sip hot, ionized water. Boil 24 ounces of water in a stainless steel pot with a lid on the top for 15 to 20 minutes. Pour it into a metal thermos with a lid. Sip out of that thermos, 1 to 2 sips every half an hour all day long. The water will stay ionized for up to 12 hours if it stays hot. This process of boiling the water for an extended period of time charges the water and saturates it with negatively charged oxygen ions. As the negatively charged ions enter the body, they attract the positively charged toxins and waste materials. This neutralizes these toxins and waste materials, and thus makes it very easy for the body to remove them. So those are some suggestions as to how you can enable your body to line up with health. And remember, this is not a time to go back to doing the things that you were doing before you got sick. Sickness is always the indication that we need to change something that we were thinking or doing before this crisis arose. Sickness, which is in fact a healing crisis, is always the indication that there's something there present within our life that we need to change. And the faster you're able to change those factors which went into that healing crisis, which caused it in the first place, the faster you will line up with healing, and the less likely you will be to manifest anything like it again. Have a good week.